It's now been 3 months since my book, Bible Translations for Everyone, was released, and I thought it would be fun. It might be fun, or it might be a terrible idea to go online and look at some of the reviews that people are writing about my book. As a first-time author, this is a little bit terrifying. Many of you have reached out to me through messages or emails or even in the comments and said, hey, I love the book. It's great. Thank you so much. And I really appreciate that. But when you go to like Amazon and Barnes & Noble and people are writing reviews and they're not sending it to me directly, there's a little bit more honesty, right? And so there are some really kind, positive reviews. And I'm going to share a couple of those that I think are really awesome. But there's also some negative reviews out there of my book. And I want to interact with those as well because I think it's fair for people to criticize the book, and I want to look at what those criticisms are. So again, first-time author, I thought this would be fun. It might be a terrible idea, but as we go through, I'm going to show you the websites. I'm going to show you what those websites are currently selling my book for, and I'll put links in the video description if you want to order it online. But also, if you want to hop over to one of those websites, if you have read the book, and leave a review. It's always good to have more reviews out there. I recently sat down with my publisher to talk about book number 3. I know I just announced book number 2, but I have some ideas for the next book. And so we were talking about that, and they mentioned, hey, we're coming in on 3 months, and Bible Translations for Everyone is doing really well, and we're really proud of you, and we're really excited about it. So it's been fun, and it's been fun to have it out there. I'm really excited. So, okay, let's start with Christianbook.com. Currently selling the book for $12.98, great price, and there's only one review so far on Christianbook.com. So if you did order the book through them, you need to head back to the website and leave a review. It comes from a guy named Ernie. Let's see what Ernie had to say. As a mature, lifelong student, I have read many translations of the Bible, yet I found that there is still much to learn, and this is a very good guidebook. Tim's in-depth research shines through in every way, but he never talks down to the reader. Rather, he conscientiously strives to lift them up. I can highly recommend this, whether you are just beginning your Bible journey or if you are looking forward to your next one. Wow, Ernie, thank you so much. You know what? Let's just end the video right here. We've got a great review. That's really cool. Thank you so much, Ernie. So, one positive review, 5 stars on ChristianBook.com. Let's hop over to Barnes & Noble. Barnes & Noble also has 1 review, 5 stars. They're selling the book for $19.99 at Barnes & Noble. The review says, Tim, so helpful and easy to understand. Tim wrote a book that provides the perfect overview of English Bible translations, why we have so many, where they come from, and why it's important to distinguish the difference. I'm not an academic, but this book was easy to digest and very interesting. I learned a lot and was also able to make an educated decision about which Bible translations work best for me. That's awesome. It doesn't say who wrote. Oh yeah, it does over here. Oh, I'm laughing. It says Boots923. That's Becca. That's Becca. I'm pretty sure that that's Becca's Barnes & Noble account. So there's 1 review on Barnes & Noble, and it's from my wife. That's actually, I didn't notice that was there, that was her. That's kind of cheating. Okay. ChurchSource.com. Great website if you're not familiar with it. They do discounts for churches if they order in bulk. So if you wanted to buy my book, read it with your small group, or discounts for anybody, honestly, but churches in particular, if you wanted to buy a bunch and go through it together as a church with a Sunday school class or a small group or Wednesday night thing, you can do that. Right now, they're selling it for $10 to anyone on their website. I know they're having a February sale. It says it ends at the end of February, so $10 is great for that. And we have 3 reviews of the book on ChurchSource.com, all 5 stars again. I promise there are some negative reviews coming that I am going to share with you. So Edith says, excellent, concise review of the many translations and revisions. Let's see here. Charles says, excellent book, helped me decide which translations to buy for what purpose. That's great. Robert says, this book was exactly what I was looking for. It provides the history of Bible translations. It also explains the differences of the current translations that are available in a way that's easy to understand. Thank you so much, Robert. Okay, before we get to Amazon, there are a couple negative ones on Amazon. I'm going to take you to Audible. 4.9 on Audible, only 19 ratings. I think the book is like around $11 or $12 if you just buy the audio on Audible. And yes, it is me reading the book on Audible. And I had a really fun time doing that. And so there's a couple of Easter eggs in the audio version where I break the fourth wall and I talk to the listeners outside of what's in the actual book if you're just reading the book. So I talk about a couple of photos in the book, and I give some shout outs and the thank yous and stuff like that. So it's kind of fun to kind of break the fourth wall. So if you want to listen to it, I'm only going to highlight one. Michelle said, this book is so well written that I find myself not wanting to put it down. How crazy is that, especially on this subject? Thanks, Michelle. And a lot of people have even said, hey, I read this in one sitting. I think if you sit down for an afternoon, you can give yourself 3 or 4 hours, you can knock this book out. And if you're listening to me, you can put it at like 1.5 speed, because I tried to read slowly, and you can knock it out even faster than that. So it was fun to do the Audible. Okay, Bible translations for everyone on Amazon. We have, this is awesome, 110 ratings. That's great. We have $12.98. That's a really good price for Amazon, particularly if you have Prime and you get free shipping and stuff like that. So 110 ratings on Amazon. That's awesome. I want to highlight one good one, and then I'll get to a couple of the bad ones. This is from Tom Dallas. And what I really love is that Tom included a photo with his review. And you may have seen me use this photo already, because Tom reached out to me and said, hey, Tim, I loved your book. I took a great photo of it. If you want to share it with anybody, you can. So he gave me permission to use it. It's a beautiful, that's a real, I thought it was AI at first, but it's a real photo of my book. And he wrote a really great review on his website as well as here on Amazon. But he said this book feels like an extension of his engaging video content, providing readers with a comprehension and approachable exploration of the many translations of the Bible available today. Thanks so much, Tom. That really, the photo is awesome. I've used it a lot, and it's really great that you thought the book was so well done. So, oh, I do have one more positive one from Amazon. This guy, David, said, Tim has done a great job taking what can be a daunting subject and distilling it down to a very useful book. That's what I wanted to do. I wanted to do all the research and then make it really simple and easy for people to understand, which is great. I actually, I've been speaking at some churches. I created a little TED Talk, like a 30, 45-minute thing about Bible translations and all these really fun slides and stuff. And I've gotten to go do that at a few churches now. So if you want to invite me to come to your church, you can fill out the request at timwildsmith.com/speaking. But the pastor said to his congregation, I invited Tim because I read his book and thought, this is so easy to understand, but it's a lot of information, but it's like he used the same word, distilled. He's distilled it down into something that's really approachable. So that's great. Okay. 3-star. That was the overall rating on Amazon was 4.8, which I will take all day long. There's a 3-star review. This book was written with a graceful spirit, which I appreciated. Thanks, Jan. However, I did not see the reality of the modern Bibles being based on 2 or 3 manuscripts that have glaring omissions when the authorized version, aka the King James, despite its older language, has many manuscripts numbering in the thousands that agree with each other. Okay, so Jan is KJV only and is not really criticizing my book, but criticizing the critical text and the textual basis of all of these modern translations. So he's really, all he says about the book is that it was written with a graceful spirit. But then after that, he basically says he disagrees with any translation other than the King James because of the textual basis. And I talk about that in the book. I talk about the different textual basis. I talk about the different manuscripts that they're based on. He just disagrees, and he's only into the King James tradition, which is fine. That's respectable. So I'll take that as a 3-star review from somebody in that KJV only camp. But it's not really about my book, is it? It's more about the Bibles and things like that. Now we go to a 2-star review from Javier. It says, this book provides a brief overview of common Protestant Bible translations. While it covers the basics, readers seeking in-depth information might find it lacking. Additionally, the article's focus leans heavily towards Protestant translations, with extremely limited coverage of Catholic editions. Given the subtitle, A Guide to Finding a Bible That's Right for You, a more balanced approach would have been better. So that's a 2-star review. So I've read this a couple times and I've thought about it. So first of all, yes, I'm a Protestant Christian. Zondervan, my publisher, is a Protestant publisher, and I did include some information about the Douay Rheims Bible in the chapter about translations before the King James Version. And then there is a chapter toward the end of the book about Catholic translations where I hit kind of the history of the Bible, the English Bible for Catholics, as well as Catholic editions of like the ESV and the NLT and things like that. I'll say this to Javier. I didn't have to include that chapter in the book. I wanted to include that chapter in the book. I have tried on my channel to be gracious to Catholics. I've reviewed a handful of Bibles from Catholic publishers because I know a lot of great people out there who are looking for a good Catholic Bible. But your point is kind of saying it doesn't really cover everything because it doesn't do Catholics enough justice. I've actually heard from lots of Catholic people, like a couple dozen, who said, thank you so much. Their perspective is, thank you so much for including that chapter about Catholic Bibles. We don't expect that from a Protestant publisher and a Protestant author, but it's really cool. I even heard from one Catholic priest who said, your short chapter on Catholic translations is incredibly helpful. I'm using it in my parish to help people understand the history of the Bible for Catholics. So I guess it's just a matter of perspective, which kind of angle you take on that. But I've heard from a lot of people who say the exact opposite. And then to your point about it covers the basics, if you might find it lacking if you want in-depth information. Honestly, I take that as a compliment. It's a criticism here, but it's called Bible Translations for Everyone. And the concept of for everyone was, I said to Zondervan when I pitched this book, I do not want to write something that is dense and overly academic. I want this to be a book that normal people can read to help them understand all of these different translations. I found lots of information out there in other books about Bible translations and why they're different, but it was all so academic that I didn't think that regular everyday people would want to read it. And so, yeah, I did all of the research. I could have written that book. I did the research, but then I tried to, as the one person said, distill it down into a form that was easy to read and understandable. So the goal was this simplicity that Javier is talking about. It's not meant to be super dense. It's a very, very thin. Oh, I just gave it away. I'm propping up my book on my own coffee mug. It's meant to be an easy read that people can engage with. So far, Javier 2-star is like the word. This is definitely the lowest review I have found online of my book. And the 2 points he's making about Catholic Bibles and about it not being deep enough, I disagree with the Catholic thing, and I think that there's another perspective to that. And the fact that it's not in depth enough is actually the design of the book. That's what I was going for. So I'm not too offended by that. So lots of love, Javier, if you're watching this video. But yeah, I think that's fair criticism, but I kind of see it from a different angle. So last but not least, let's hop over to Goodreads. If you're not familiar with Goodreads, it's just a website where you can kind of keep track of your books that you read and kind of do reviews. And there's a little bit of a community, like social media aspect to it. It's 4.64. It's been rated 177 times, and then 47 people have reviewed it. So you can go in and just keep track of the books you read. That's what I do. I don't rate things. I just keep track of the books I read. You can also rate them on a scale of 0 to 5 stars, and then you can leave reviews as well. So a couple of reviews. One good one. Paige says, as someone who has read multiple books about Bible translation and really delved deep into the subject throughout the course of an entire year, I can honestly say that this is the best, capital letters, the best place to start if you are new to the whole topic. Thanks so much, Paige. That means a lot to me, and I think that's where it is. I wanted it to be a good primer for people, a good starting place, but I'm also hearing from other people who've said, hey, I know a lot about this, but I still learned something from this book, which is really great. And then we had a couple of 3-star reviews on Goodreads as well. We have Jennifer said, I think I expected something different, but I did get some of the information I wanted. Lots of technical jargon and dates and names, but overall some good info. I had forgotten my old love for NASB, and now that Tim has reminded me of some things I loved about it, I think I'll try it again. Good book with lots of info, just not easy to read. Fair criticism. There is some technical jargon, particularly in those early chapters of the book where I talk about textual basis, translation philosophy, all of those words. And if you get past, though, chapter 1 is the book about how we get from English and to how I get from Hebrew, Greek, and Aramaic into English. That's like the more technical thing. Chapter 2 is a lot of those dates and those names for those translations before the King James. Once you get to chapter 3, moving forward, it's a deep dive into each individual translation. So hopefully it's a little bit easier, but I recognize that we did some of the heavy lifting up front in the book, for sure. That's fair criticism. And then another 3-star review on Goodreads comes from Anthony, who said, I got high expectations of this book considering he has top-tier YouTube content he puts out. So Anthony seems to like me, but gave my book 3 stars. I also note that Anthony left this review on Goodreads in May of 2024, and my book didn't come out till November. So he says, I have high expectations. Anthony, here's what I'll say to you, my friend. It's been almost a year since you left this review. If you've now had a chance to review the book or to read the book, if you enjoyed it more than 3 stars, maybe you could come in here and edit your review, because you could update it and say, now I read it, I still think it's 3 stars. You might even say, the dude called me out in a video, so now I'm giving it 1 star. I'm not I'm not just having fun. I'm just having a little bit of fun. But yeah, maybe you want to hop back in there and redo it a little bit. So I'm sure by the time this video comes out, there will be more reviews on there. But again, I would love it if you would hop over to, if you bought the book on Amazon, go back to Amazon and leave a rating and a review. Let people know what you thought about it. If you are using Goodreads, hop on there and do it as well. If Christianbook, like I said, there's only 1 review on Christianbook and Barnes & Noble, so it would be great to get more on there for sure. And again, I just want to say I wanted to kind of do this as a fun little exercise, but also to remind you that it's out there. And so if you'd like to order a copy, there's some links in the video description. And I'm so appreciative of all of you who've been supportive of me as a first-time author. And I have heard from a lot of people who say that they love this book and they think it's going to be a great resource. And my hope is that it will be. You know, we just found out, video coming next week, about the update to the ESV. The ESV is being updated. Eventually, I think I'm going to have to do a second edition of this book in a few years because translations are going to be updated. Maybe something new will come on the scene that we're all going to want to talk about. Maybe I'll include a chapter about translations to avoid, things like that. I just did a video about that last week. If you didn't see it, you got to check that out. There's lots of comments on that video. Yeah, it's been really fun for me as a first-time author, and I'm not afraid to hop in here and engage a little bit with the feedback and the comments. And at the end of the day, I'm proud of what we accomplished with this book, and I know the effort and the time and the energy that went into it. And even if people want to be a little bit critical of it, that's okay. That's their opinion, and I'm so glad that it's out there. So again, thank you for watching. Thank you for supporting the channel, for supporting the book. If you've got any thoughts or questions, if you want to share some feedback about what you think about the book, you can leave that in the comments of the video. And definitely click the like button before you leave and subscribe to my channel if you haven't already. Would you believe that over 50% of my views come from people who are not subscribed to my channel? So hey y'all, if you're watching the video, click subscribe. It doesn't cost you anything. You can definitely just hang out, have fun. YouTube, if you click the notifications bell, they will let you know when I have a new video coming out. But if you want to have fun Bible-related content, that's what my channel is all about. So thank you so much for watching. I really appreciate you guys. I'll see you next time.